I just want to point out one or two things. One, no country can develop without raising its own revenue. If anybody is going to tell you, no matter how well they may be dressed, no matter how smooth their tongue is, if anybody tells you that the country will grow without its own revenue, that person is cheating, is lying, and not only lying, but lying through the teeth. That message needs to sink to the Kenyan people. The other thing is that no government has its own revenue. Governments all over the world have to raise revenue from the citizens and the businesses that operate in their environment. There is no shortcut to it. So as we go forward, what we are seeing here, the combination of the revenue team and the combination of the technology coming together, converging, so that it can help us enhance revenue collection. That is the future, and that is what will sustain us. I was involved in setting up KRA. When I was Minister for Finance, I'm the one who pushed a lot of the bill. I delivered the bill to Parliament, and eventually we created Kenya Revenue Authority. It has become one of the best revenue authorities within the African continent. And we need to make it even better. And the more we pay our taxes, ultimately, everybody will even out, and it will be easier to now reduce taxes. Where the president is coming from, President William Ruto, is a very difficult corner. Na nataka munisikie kabisa. It is a very difficult corner. Because kwa kimombo, there's this thing they say, when you don't want to solve a problem, you keep on kicking the can down the road. Hautaki kuokota, unapiga, iende, unapiga, iende. This is what has happened. The previous people kept on kicking the can down the road. They kept on kicking the can down the road. But now, with the Kenya KWANZA government, we have to be honest with you. There's nowhere we can kick the can. We have to pick it up. And to pick it up, to resolve issues, is going to be a challenge, and a challenge that we can only resolve if we work together. So we will have to go through some difficult time. And I keep on repeating, some difficult time, some challenging times. But no situation is permanent. Even bad times come to an end. So I want to assure you that the challenges we are going through will also come to an end. They are not permanent. So, tuvute, tushikane, tuhakikishe kwamba tunaenda mbele. Kuna madeni mengi ambayo ni lazima tupambane nayo, lakini juzi serikali kupitia kwa Wizara ya Fedha wamekuwa na majadiliano na hata na IMF na watu wa World Bank, na mambo yanazidi kuonekana kwamba kuna mwangaza kule mbele. Kwa hivyo, let us work on that particular issue. The second and maybe final thing I just want to quickly touch on is that tunataka pia teknolojia ingie kwa kilimo vile tumeona. Tusaidiane tusukume teknolojia kwa kilimo ili maisha yetu yabadilike na tupate ajira katika hizo sehemu. So what is being displayed here is critical for us as we move forward. The other day, I was talking to the accountants. Kenya has got about 50,000 accountants, and 35 of them are with ISPAC, 15,000 are preparing to also join ISPAC. These are very many good minds in matters of finance. And some of the issues they were talking about was broad, but taxation. Sasa, mimi I want to challenge the Kenyans, because finance bill imetolewa. Finance bill iko katika bunge na haijafichwa, inapelekwa kule ili wananchi watoe mawazo na mapendekezo pahali wanaona tunaweza rekebisha. Finance bill is there so that we can all make a contribution and rectify what we think is not appropriate. That is why it is before Parliament. But I want to tell those who speak a lot, please, if you say you don't want VAT, and the government was targeting to raise maybe 60 billion or 70 billion from VAT to deal with roads, to deal with medicine, to deal with education, then tell us, what is your option? Wewe, tuambie, what is the alternative? Kama we ni una umaarufu wa criticize, it's all right. But let us have an alternative from you which narrows or fills the gap. That is the question. Because all these people are talking. But what is their actual alternative proposal to fill the gap? Because we have a very huge deficit. I want to tell you the truth. They have no alternative. They want us to continue kicking the can down the road. We cannot do that because we will be hurting Kenyans. Juzi, Prime Minister wa Singapore alikuwa hapa na alisema hivi, as an example, kwamba in a country of 6 million people, because their country is 6 million, 85% of the housing in Singapore, 85% of their population is housed in shelter that has been built by the government through revenue collections and various ways to raise the money to house the citizens of that country. How are we going to house the Kenyan citizens? And the president has talked about the need to give everybody shelter, decent shelter. The Constitution demands that you give decent shelter. But the Constitution does not exactly tell you how to provide the decent shelter. We then have to be innovative and then provide ways, and we raise resources from the Kenyan people. But when you provide decent shelter, what does it mean? It means more jobs, as he says. But also, when you look at EMBU here, to provide decent shelter, the moment you start putting up 400, 500 units, 600 units, 1,000 units, where does the human waste go? Isn't it? It has to be dealt with. So, when you talk about decent housing and what it takes, it also means that the government, as it is investing in housing, must also invest in proper sewer systems to broaden and improve the areas that people are going to live in. If you want to remove Kibera from its status so that it graduates from a slum, a difficult place to live in, you will not change Kibera until we also introduce very good sewer in that system. Are we going to do it for free? So let us tell Kenyans the truth, that we have a job to do. We have to save. We have to grow our revenues. At the same time, we have to provide security. We have to do roads. We have to feed the people. Where will this come from if there's no revenue collection and enhancement in our country? The final thing, which I thought is interesting, the Singapore people also said they have what you call the EduSave. It's a program of saving. The government, once technology is perfect, we know how many children we have. What Singaporeans are doing for their children in order to save for them, for the future of education, once a child is born, with technology, the government supports in opening, that's the government of Singapore, opening an account, an education savings account for that newborn child. So the government throws in something. As the child grows, when he or she is ready to go to secondary school and whatever, those savings then offset against the cost of education with respect to that child. And the parents of the child are also free to chip in the saving of that child. So, let us not be complacent. The world has changed. Nimekuwa kwa hii shule ya Kangaroo. Good children, our children, both Kangaroo, boys and girls. Tukiwa na hawa viongozi, nikauliza swali. I don't know what made me ask that question, but I just thought, let me ask. So, nikauliza hawa, wale ambao walishawahi kuona Moi na macho, ebu inua mkono. Can you imagine hawa secondary school ya Kangaroo? I think there were just about 20 children that were able to say they have seen Moi with their own eyes. I asked them, how many of you have been able to see Mwai Kibaki with your own eyes? Not reading of him, but physically seeing. It was slightly more, but again, the majority of the school, both boys and girls, never saw Moi, and they never saw Kibaki. So what does that tell you? It tells you, my friend, the generation has changed. Kwa Kiluya tunasema ibindu vichenjanga. Sijui kwa Kiembu mnasemaje? Mashenjania. What? So things have changed. So we are living with a completely different generation. And therefore we have now to embrace technology and do things differently. So with those remarks, let me say I look forward to be with you, Governor, the very good governor. I was telling her she has put her best foot forward with her team. Wacheze hiyo mpira vizuri, wajenge Embu, na tarehe mosi mwezi ujao tutakuwa na nyinyi tukiandamana na Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya kuja kusherekea umaarufu wa watu wa Embu. Mungu awabariki na pongezi sana.
Asante sana. Wapigieni makofi tafadhali. Tunajulisha kwamba kesho masaa ya kanisa ni saa 3. Sisi wote tukue tumepatana pale Cathedral, tuabudu pamoja, alafu turudi hapa tuendelee na onyesho letu. Basi naomba tuwapigie makofi viongozi wetu tunapowapatia nafasi ya kuondoka at their own leisure. Wapigieni makofi kabisa mpaka wakati watafika pale nje. Na baada ya hayo tutaendelea na exhibition.